Hey guys, so okay, welcome back to the letter. Let's continue with Rebecca's chapter. Here we go. Yet try as I might, the green-eyed monster easily rears its ugly head, like it always does every time his gaze lingers a second longer. Every time he smiles in a manner far too gentle, far too sincere. Whenever he thinks, no one can see. Every time my mind suggests his words mean more than they should. Every small, little thing. Despite what he says, despite his tone.
Look, you guys.
For all I know, it may just be the same kind of fondness born from friendship. Maybe I'm simply overthinking like he often tells me. Or maybe there really is something there. But in this short display of impatience, I know the whole of it is just for show. After all, growing up together with him didn't teach me nothing about him. For whose sake it is this time, though? For him? For Zachary? For her? Or for me? That I can't tell.
If she says she's okay, then there's nothing we can do about it. It's not like we can stop her either. Besides, she's still acting like the same old Isabella to me, if she can still run around like that.
Why are you taking her side?
I'm not. But if she wants to watch Zach's movie with us, I'm not going to stop her. She's probably the one looking forward to it the most.
Ash, that's... You, of all people, should know...
Tell you what, if I notice something amiss with her, I'll take her to the nearest hospital myself. Is that good enough for you?
Oh no, not good enough for Rebecca, no. My mouth opens, then snaps shut almost as quickly, forming a thin, hard line instead. I can't respond. Not because there's nothing to say. On the contrary, there's plenty. So many things I can use to reason and get him to agree. But because he speaks with much certainty, with much reassurance, it feels like there isn't even a choice. All I can give is a long, deep breath, and a reluctant nod in the face of it. Before I can get a grip of myself and my own weakness, the mood immediately shifts, and I'm being tackled into a hug.
Thanks, Becca! It's always been you with him, isn't it? Did you say something?
Oops.
Me? Nothing. Don't mind me.
Sweat pouring down the forehead right now. A lie, obviously. What else could it be? Each and every smile, a tiny effort to keep things as they are, so I tell myself. Little do I know, this is merely a preamble. It starts out quietly and without fanfare, amidst friendly jibes and harmless teasing, with a scrap of paper fluttering harmlessly to the ground. That's when they all read it. One that looks suspiciously like a cheap Halloween prank, no matter how you look at it. And yet, despite how ludicrous it all is, Isabella stubbornly insists, as if our whole life depends on acknowledging the truth in her story. Does she even realize how absurd she sounds right now? Crivens, even my students won't fall for this.
Isabella, aren't you taking this a bit too far?
She doesn't give me the time to regret, nor think over my choice of words. From there, it escalates, grows into an argument too petty even for our standards as adults. Before we know it, one after another, harsh, scathing words are being spoken.
It's not a joke! Will you guys listen to me first? I saw something in the house earlier. It stood right in front of me. If I hadn't gotten away, that thing might have...
Right. And in broad daylight, Isabella. Even someone gullible would find the logic in that screwed up. There's also no way in hell that this supernatural shit is true.
But it's real! What do you think I saw?
That face of Isabella just terrifies me.
A hallucination? A delusion? Didn't you say you fell down some stairs? So maybe Rebecca's right.
It happened after, when I was trying to get away. I almost got stuck in the same room with that thing. We're all in danger. I thought you were my friends. Why don't you believe me?
But someone has to be patient in all this. And however much my own has already been frayed earlier, there's no one else. Who else here can deal with someone selfishly acting like a kid? Like every other time, it has to be me.
We are, and you know that. But this thing and that thing has got nothing to do with the other. When Rose called earlier, I thought she's just exaggerating. But based on what I'm seeing right now, maybe it's better if we really postpone this for now.
Don't bother.
Oof. Just like that, she cuts us off. Slams the door right in our faces while my own temper flares before I can stop it. Although it falters briefly at the hard expression on her. When she snatches the blasted paper from Ashton, I hold on to it. Regardless of how upset she appears, a soured expression and balled fists, throwing a tantrum is simply unacceptable. For a grown woman at that. Words form at the tip of my tongue, ready. But before I can open my mouth and let all of it out, her feelings and mistakes be damned, Zachary raises a voice of his own.
Guys!
A warning underneath the warm and hopeful beat in his voice. We all stop to look at him, and even my own anger subsides a little at his tone.
Why don't we all calm down first? I'm sure Isabella has her reasons too. No, and hey, ain't this supposed to be a happy get-together?
Sorry, Zach. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. To an outsider, it may sound like a desperate request, but Zachary has always been the one to keep a level head of petty squabbles. This time's no different. He knows what to say, and when he lets it fall, they only ring sharp and true.
We haven't seen each other for months. I'd really love to know what y'all have been up to. I only ever get to talk to Bella over chat. Please.
And as careful as he is with his own tone, it does make me feel ashamed. We're supposed to be here for him, to give what little support we can give. Yet here he is, trying to keep 3 stubborn people from outright hashing it out in public. Later we can, and will, talk about it, of course. There's a proper time and place for it. At the moment, my anger and whatever reprimands it carries no longer matter. Beside me, Ashton appears to have already caught on. The lines of his shoulders ease to something much more relaxed, his expression back to its unusual nonchalance. Isabella, however, she stands perfectly still, her hands clasping the straps of her bag like a lifeline, eyes trained at some point near her shoes. There's no anger in her face, only an undeniable hurt. But she's never been good at hiding what she thinks. Always the open book, always the one to wear her heart out in the open. And when she looks up, her answer is always also as simple.
If we keep arguing here, we're going to miss the first few minutes.
Her lips are curled up in a smile. Though lacking both its usual brightness and glee, it's a smile nonetheless. I've seen it countless of times. It's the very same one she would show when she knows she has no other choice, or simply when things get tough for her. But despite everything I already know about her, it still catches me off guard. In all honesty, I expected her to run, to balk at the first sign of losing this time. I won't even be surprised. At 26, she is the youngest among the rest of us, less experienced, less accustomed to dealing with trivial quarrels like this. Yet here she is, holding herself and coping with it like she would with matters concerning her family. Outside of that, to me, she's always been this childish, naive girl, and watching the opposite play out right now, somehow, I find it difficult to wrap my head around it.
All right, that's the Isabella I know.
Oh, good. I thought for sure you were going to cry.
But I envy her.
What was that for?
Stop calling me a crybaby! I'm not one!
Aw, don't cry.
Stop it!
I envy her spirit, her warmth, her cheer, the shine in her eyes when she looks at the world, how everything seems to simply fall back into a pleasant, lively rhythm with her around, how easily and tightly she fits into our lives, even without bonds only long years could forge, like a lost piece of a puzzle despite her jagged edges, how she draws people to her with ease, how Ashton, of all people, can be drawn to her.
Okay, scaredy cat then.
That too! If you repeat that, I swear I'll—
Let's just go.
I make no effort keeping the bitterness from my tone. Yeah, we can tell that from chapter 1, my god. I let it seep, linger stiffly in the air, as I avert my gaze from them, from their playful banter, their friendly teasing remarks, and Ashton's tender, affectionate smiles. All before the stabbing aches in my heart change into something too painful to bear. It's all in my head, is what I'd often tell myself. Yet the way my heart rends at just the sight of them hurts. And like a coward, I walk away from all of it, taking with me a small hope the movie will distract me away from these thoughts. Because like this, it's easy to find something to hate in her. Oh, I feel bad for Rebecca. Dusk has already given way tonight when we leave the film fest. Unfortunately, it does nothing to improve my mood like I'm hoping. Neither does the muggy air that greets us upon stepping back onto the noisy streets. Too busy. Too loud. Too many people taking what little space the sidewalk offers. Forces anyone to bump shoulders with those they barely know, let alone care about. On a normal evening, I probably wouldn't have minded the crowd nor the humid weather. It's not like any of them are bothering anyone. And yet, even with what's admittedly a pleasant company, I can't bring myself to lighten up.
So you got some other time?
Yeah, see ya!
Not even to return the smiles Ashton and Zachary gives us when we go our separate ways. Perhaps this started with Miss Cooper's call, or earlier than that. Maybe even the moment I left bed this morning. Bloody hell, it could have been because of that sodding letter for all I know. I couldn't care less at this point. All I want is to get a warm bath, sleep, and wait for this dreadful day to end. Now, if only Isabella would stop babbling, then maybe this dull throbbing at the side of my head wouldn't turn into a full-blown headache, too.
Zach did a pretty good job with his movie, didn't he? Even though Ash said he ran into some trouble late into filming. but I knew he had it in him. It's not like I didn't believe he couldn't do it. I mean, did you see his face after the credits rolled? All those months he worked on this, and everything's finally—
You weren't even watching.
Only the first minutes. I watched the rest of it, I swear. Besides, Ashton was the one who wouldn't stop asking questions.
Well, why do we still need to talk about this then? I liked it. Ash liked it. You liked it. Shouldn't you be telling that to Zachary in person? I'm sure he'll appreciate it better than I ever will.
Oof.
I know that, but maybe there's something you want to say? Zach had you check the scripts before he went through everything, didn't he? You also worked on it, even if it was only for a short time. So, maybe you want to...
I don't bother waiting for the rest. The moment I spot my car, I immediately make a quick beeline for it. Knowing her, this is merely another attempt at starting a conversation, just so we'll have something to fill the dead air, to replace the strained atmosphere we've somehow walked into. One thing, the very thing I'm not too keen to deal with at the present. Behind me, Isabella also changes her pace to match mine, her soft strides growing brisk and uneven in order to catch up. A small part of me half expects she'll suddenly trip. She's not the clumsy sort, but there are definitely times when she can be the least coordinated person on the planet.
Becca, hey! Oh no. Wait for me!
And people wonder why I worry? They're not really completely unfounded, once you've already grown familiar with her habits, though right now this is also at the very end of lists of things I want to talk about. Sometimes it does become overbearing. Even her voice as she calls after me sounds nothing more than background noise to my ears now.
Rebecca, slow down, will you? Your car's not going to leave without us.
The sooner we get on the road, the earlier we can get home. It's Friday, in case you didn't notice.
I know what day it is, but the traffic's not going to magically disappear, even if we go there right now.
I don't want to hear that from you. Didn't you used to complain how horrendous the traffic is back home for you?
Yeah? But that doesn't have anything to do with this, Becca.
Okay. What do you want to do then? Wait it out? Walk? I just want to go home, Isabella.
Rare.
If you want to stay out here longer, I won't stop you. But leave me out of it. I'm not up for any other foolish excursions tonight.
I wasn't thinking about an excursion. I want to go home too. It's already late.
I have to respect Isabella for not raising her voice back at Rebecca.
It's just that you've been in this prickly mood since earlier. Are you really okay? Was it the cold? Or did something happen at school? Do you want to talk about it?
A long pause follows, and holds everything she's been meaning to ask from the very start. I'm in no mood, but all the same, my hand stops short of unlocking my car, and my grip on the handle tightens. I could feel her eyes boring on me, waiting, hoping patiently for any answers I'd give. She's the same as Zachary. They're bad liars. But when you talk to people like them, if you're not careful, they often leave you with no other choice but to admit the truth. Those exact same ones I can't voice. Despite my lack of response, she pushes on, surprisingly. This time her tone is quieter, more tentative than usual.
Was it because of the letter?
It's a well-meaning question, much like the rest of this talk. It's something in how she says it irks me.
If it is, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to cause a scene. I did see something in the mansion, though. I wasn't lying about that.
Wherever she wants to take this, I no longer want to hear a word of it. Not at this minute, preferably never. Especially when there are already a million other things buzzing and prodding inside my head. Sometimes my patience can only be tried for so long. I don't know, do we lie and just say this cold caught up with me? Would say I'm not in the mood to talk. Isabella will stop talking if I say that, I think. Let's make an excuse.
And during the open house, even if there were a lot of people around, there were weird things happening.
I mean, like, we're already sour and everything. Let's just not exasperate things further. Let's just blame it on the cold.
I don't know if there was anyone else who noticed, but I heard things. I'm sure it wasn't because I fell down the stairs. Even before that, in the attic,
Isabella!
Yeah?
A pause, though I don't let it last, only to give myself a small window to breathe, before I lay down the words between us with as much restraint as my patience allows. Which is not much, after everything. I can only hope Isabella would simply take them as they are. She can be as stubborn as a mule when she wants to be.
This kind of conversation, tonight. Look, it's been a long day. I think this cold also caught up with me, and I'm really exhausted. Can we talk about this some other time?
She blinks, and although disappointment flashes momentarily in her face, she gives me a curt nod. Whew, situation diffused. Good job. A relief enough for me. Perhaps the first time I genuinely feel it today. As unpleasant as this day has been, seeing something go the way I anticipated takes the edge out of it. Even if lying through my teeth has to go with it.
Oh, alright. You should have just said so. I told you you should have taken a full week off.
I don't want her to feel bad as well.
Were you able to get the meds I brought you, though? Do you need anything?
Oh, God.
I could drop by the pharmacy for you.
Yeah, no need to fuss. A good night's sleep is all I need. I've been busy the whole day. I guess I should have listened to you and taken it easy. But we have exams to prepare for. It's one or the other, you know?
I knew it! Here I thought you were just upset about something. Even Ash looked a little bit worried about you.
It's fine. Let's just head home, okay? I'll make it up to you next time. Call me out to lunch or wherever, just... not right now.
Okay, but should you be driving? If you want, I can call a taxi for us. You'll hate paying the extra fees, but you'll be able to get some rest on the way home.
No, don't call a cab. I can manage driving at least. Just get in the car so we can be on our way.
I'm already opening the door and climbing into the seat before she could protest. Left with no other choice, she follows me inside shortly, albeit with a bit of reluctance. The guilt from this will eat at me later, but for now, these little falsehoods are mine to bear and hide under. For now, this is the better choice, I agree. Better than pretending she doesn't exist or giving her vague answers. Certainly better than harsh words and outright lashing out at her. Exactly. I can find a little comfort in that. Thankfully, if there's anything left to be spoken between us after, we won't have to discuss it on the way home. Or rather, we can't. Because no sooner than we hit the road, Isabella dozes off. Despite my foul mood, I still end up suppressing a laughter once the first sounds of her breathing fill the car.
Mama?
Not your mom, Isabella.
Slow and steady. The quiet rhythm, so completely unlike her. So far removed from every impression anyone has of her. I can hear the breathing, that's why I stuttered a bit. A few faint whimpers will occasionally come from her, but otherwise, it's just us. This silence, and it's so utterly unexpected. Still a welcome break, of course. Peace and quiet is one thing you'll rarely get with her around. Yet it's nowhere near comforting. It merely lends this air a strange clarity. Every little sound, every little movement, more palpable. And with it comes the unease. A jolt of surprise hits me. It's almost comical if this were a different situation. In my haste, I accidentally dislodge my mobile from its seat on the dashboard when I swipe on the screen. Soon I'm scrambling blindly for it with my other hand while keeping a steady eye on the road ahead. Not good, do not do that. Oh God. A voice crackles from the loudspeakers before I can put it back. Although muffled heavily by the surface, I recognize the person on the other line from her chipper tone alone.
Hello? Miss Cooper?
Why is it so staticky?
Oh, you're still awake. Evening. I hope I didn't disturb you or anything. I know it's a bit late. Sorry about that. I just want to check on you and Isabella. That girl's still not answering her mobile. Were you able to meet up with her?
Yes. She's with me. We're on our way home.
Hello? What was that again? I can't hear you properly.
Sorry. Let me just fix this dumb phone.
What? My hand stops dead for a moment. I spare the device a brief glance, waiting. Seconds pass. Nothing happens, though. Frankly, I'm not sure what I'm expecting, but the lines on my mouth forms into a frown regardless.
Miss Cooper?
Yes, still here.
Did you say something?
Just that I didn't get the last part. What were you saying again?
She didn't die this night because she went on to sell the house the next day, so...
No, I thought you... Never mind. Must be the signal acting up. Coming in?
What?
Is everything all right over there?
Certainly. Is something wrong? What wouldn't? Okay, you seem to be busy. If this is a good time, I can just call you back some, other...
What the hell? I have to make a conscious effort not to panic right then and there, although my tight hold on the steering wheel tells a different story altogether.
Miss Cooper? Rose? Hey, Rose! Are you still there?
Only a burst of static answers me, and... Maybe this lapse is entirely because of exhaustion. It has been a long day, and I haven't fully recovered from last week's bout of flu, contrary to what I've been telling people. Though perhaps, had I paid closer attention to it, had I not been so occupied with other thoughts, I probably would have noticed earlier that it never came from my phone, but from somewhere right behind me. What? Time slows to a crawl. Looking up is a mistake. The first thing I see is its face, a ghastly shade, every inch battered, bruised, and bloodied. Even in the darkness of the world passing by in a blur of lights outside, I could still make out the wounds. Blood still oozes from it, little trails of crimson running down its face, glistening under what little light there is. But it's the gleam in its eyes that catches mine. The quiet plea, the anguish, and the desperation in them, more than its hideous features and the awful stench of gore now soaking the air. And I try as I might, I can't bring myself to look away, even as its lips contort into a horrific smile. God, even as a sharp, harsh noise pierces the air and the silence around us.
Rebecca! Huh? Car! Eyes on the road!
Ah! Against everything I've been taught and constantly reminded myself, I close my eyes. Don't close your eyes while driving! It's a brief moment. A short, vivid second of muscle memory and instinct completely taking over. And if I didn't allow it, if my hands didn't move or my feet didn't hit the brakes in that exact second, I might have... Isabella and I might have... No. I shake the notion away before I lose myself in it. Right now, it's an ugly line of thought I refuse to venture into. Not when breathing is a struggle and every ounce of strength has been totally drained from my body. Most definitely not while Isabella's panicked voice beside me still rings in my ears. We're alive. We're safe. That's all that matters. But it's not her face that I look for when I finally open my eyes. Well, gone. I expected stains, little telling marks and creases on the covers to show me where it sat not a second ago. But whatever it is, it left not a single trace. And though courage is a hard thing to gather at this point, I take what little of it remains in me and turn towards the back seat. Even then, there's none. Wow, I tensed up a bit there. Or was there really something in there in the first place? With how empty it is, I'm beginning to doubt it. The stupid flu again.
I need a long rest after this.
My hands fall uselessly to my sides, numb from how taut my grip on the wheel has gone, yet still trembling from the unexpected rush of adrenaline. Against my ears, my heart still pounds in erratic rhythm, and my breathing hasn't slowed down. But the world has already righted itself without waiting for me, and little by little, second after second, as I sit here motionless, colour begins to seep back around me. Along with it are the sounds and a voice, no longer the indistinct ringing it was earlier.
Rebecca! Becca! Are you okay? Answer me, will you? You're scaring me! You know what? I think we should just call a taxi since...
Can you keep it down?
Strained, harsh, and completely unintentional, but with heat prickling at the back of my eyes and the mild throbbing at my temple, I could honestly do with a little silence for now.
Keep it down? We almost crashed, Becca!
I know what happened. It was a lapse. I'm sorry.
A lapse? You call that a lapse? Becca, I really don't want to end up a mangled mess on the side of the road, or a mangled mess anywhere. All I'm asking, if the time ever comes, which I hope isn't right now, is a peaceful death. Give that one to me at least. Not that I'm asking for it, but please.
Isabella. Belle, you're overreacting. If you're so worried, why don't you drive?
Don't have a license.
I keep telling you to get one, didn't I? For the past 5 years. Do you see why now?
I wasn't really expecting to stay here this long. I thought it'd just be for a year or two.
All of a sudden, a pensive mood comes over her. Isabella looks away, then, while what's left of my little lecture never crosses the tip of my tongue. I don't allow it to, because in each of those words she let loose earlier is a small truth. Her stay is always meant to be something fleeting. Earn some good money, and go home. It's what she'd tell herself during her first year here. Now, half a decade later, I'm not sure if she still believes that. Even I'm not sure if I still believe it. And if there's something in her reasons that have changed along the way, even if I already have a hunch, it's one thing I'll never bother to ask. Those are hers to keep.
I'll be careful this time, I promise. Just please. Can we give this whole thing a rest for now?
You're remarkably calm for having seen a ghost in the backseat of your car and almost crashing, Rebecca. She nods, and that is the end of it. Now who's the stubborn one? We spend the rest of the trip back to Salem while in silence. Let's check the journal. God. Damn, Rebecca. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? A lot in this entry. On this day, I should say. After watching Blue Foncé, Isabella tried making small talk with Rebecca, but the latter was in a prickly mood and was not interested. On the way home, Rebecca glimpsed something suspicious in the backseat of her car. Yes, suspicious is an understatement. All thoughts of an overactive imagination playing tricks on a flu-addled mind and smiles never meant for my eyes, abandoned, if only for a brief moment. Alright, like 4 days later, basically. Tuesday. Begins innocently enough. Tuesday morning arrives like any other day before it, bright and clear. Even though it comes with an extra helping of the unusual October weather, I appreciate being able to glimpse at the clear skies lately. After going through a bout of sickness last week, it does something to lift the mood of what would otherwise be a dreary morning. And despite being mostly a creature of habit, I wind up waking earlier than usual because of it. Still no earlier than Isabella, it appears. I've assumed she'll take a day or two off because of what happened to Miss Cooper, but that doesn't seem to be the case. The sound of the morning news drifts from her unit when I walk past it on my way to the mailbox. Chances are, around this hour, she's already dressed and ready to go, probably just waiting for the next bus to arrive. I've tried following her example before, but I don't think I'll be repeating that.
Really? How can anyone be up before the sun is up?
It's a habit she got from home, she said, instilled in her by the kind of life she grew up in. Like clockwork, it's always at 4 a.m., either to help with the chores or prepare her little siblings for school. It surprised me the first time. She just didn't look like someone who could. In the end, I simply passed it off as one of the many things anyone will have to get used to around her. Not that I'll ever fully understand. I'm my parents' only child. We aren't well off, but so far I've lived a relatively easy life. I didn't have to think about bills or food for the next day, and paying for any siblings' tuition on top of my own, or supporting a sick father's medication. All I have to worry about were my grades, if it gained Mum and Da's approval, or what we'd be having for dinner. When put next to hers, they all pale in comparison. They look less like problems and more like petty issues this way.
Petty issues?
But as unimportant as it all sounds, sometimes its ugly head rears at the most inappropriate moments. And sometimes they come through your mailbox in the form of a fancy-looking letter, pretty ribbons and all. Whoever sent this has spent silly money on the envelope alone. Verging on ridiculous, really. Is this the Wrights' invitation? I can already imagine Isabella wrinkling her nose when she sees this. Then she'll complain about unnecessary expenses and rich people problems. I'm almost afraid to touch it myself. As if simply brushing a hand against its crisp surface will be enough to put a crease on it, and it'll be a terrible sight to the sender. But as extravagant as I find this, it really isn't really the first time I've received one. Most of the time it isn't even for me, so who am I to complain? Either way, no look of surprise crosses my face once I flip the envelope over to see my parents' names written in a neat script.
Nothing new then.
Their years in the academy naturally brought with it various connections, people from other fields, art, science, business, politics, you name it. This one, though, gives off a much personal vibe. Letters like this usually come from old students, people who've grown fond of my parents, and they, in turn, treat like the children of their own. I've only met a few of them. Most have moved on to become successful in their chosen careers, and little letters like this are their way of expressing gratitude. It's one thing Mum and Dad are proud of, rightfully so, and I'm happy for them. But there are times I wish they'll remember they have a daughter here. The real one. Not that it's of any importance now. It's not like they didn't raise me well and provided for me. They did. I wouldn't be where I am now if it weren't for their hard work. And like a dutiful child, I do everything I can to give back. Even if it's as small a thing as letting them know they've got another mail waiting for them. The phone rings for a good minute before someone answers. Mum. Her voice as warm as I remember.
Becca?
Hi, Mum. How's the conference going?
Well enough. Until your dad sprained his ankle.
Oh no, is it bad?
I'm alright. In case anyone in this family cares to listen, I'm alright. Very much alive, darling.
And there you have it. He'll be up and walking in a few weeks, don't worry. We're going to have to extend our stay here until it heals, though.
Sad that her mum doesn't have a picture on her phone.
Is something the matter?
Nothing big. Just that this mail arrived for you this morning.
A lie. Thankfully she doesn't notice. Although, if I'm going to be honest, a small part of me yearns for her to do so and ask me about it. But I put down the idea almost as soon as it surfaces. I shouldn't make them fret. They're busy.
What does it say?
Raise your glasses, give cheers to the good times, blah blah.
Yeah, the Wrights' housewarming party.
Becca manners. That isn't how I taught you to read.
Sorry. You are cordially... it's an invitation, Mum, for a housewarming party. From, Hannah?
The name rings a bell. Though at the moment, I can't recall when or where I've heard it. Recently. Must be nothing too important if I didn't bother committing it to memory. There are a lot of Hannahs in the world, so who knows?
Hannah.
She also wrote you a note, Mum. It says you used to be her private tutor at the Evans Mansion, and that she misses you and would love would love to see you two again.
It makes my heart clench to read another openly say those words to them. The same ones I want to tell them. I want to see you too. It's been years since we've been together as a family. If there's one thing that hasn't changed from childhood, it's that Mum and Dad are still busy with their respective careers. Out of the country, away on some meeting or symposium, sometimes for months on end. It only grew more frequent with the years until I'm old enough to live on my own. I'd like to think that's how I become independent at such an early age. They've always praised me for that. At times, I wish they didn't.
Evans? Oh, I remember now. Honey, it's Hannah Evans. Remember? Bright girl, 2 years older than Becca?
Didn't she get married a few years ago? 7 now, I think.
7 is not a few.
But they grow up so fast, these kids.
Yeah, she invited us to that too. Fonte de Medici. But we missed that one because you had to present your paper in Singapore.
We did send her a note after. Still a shame we couldn't attend, though. What is it about this time?
She sent another invite for a housewarming party. Becca, when is it?
This Friday, Mum.
Oh, that's too bad. We'd love to be there, but Da's not in a condition to go walking around. I guess we'd have to decline again. I really miss that girl.
I could go in your place.
I let it slip without thinking. Personally, I've never been fond of gatherings, regardless of how simple people make it seem. But if there's one thing I hate hearing, that disappointed note in Mum's voice always ranks first. Whether it's directed at me or some other thing doesn't matter.
Are you sure? Don't you have work this Friday?
The event will be in the evening, Mum. It shouldn't take anything away from my schedule. It's all right. The invite's for 2 people. I can bring someone with me so things don't get boring.
I see. Maybe you can also invite Ashton?
Mum, that's a sure no from him. He hates attending parties. But I'll see what I can do. If not, I can always bring Isabella with me. You know her. She won't say no if there's food involved.
Okay, if it's not going to be a big problem for you, I don't see why not. We owe you this one, darling.
No problem, Mum. I'll even say hi to Hannah for you.
Please do. And let her know we'd love to see her once we're back in the city. Leave her our number or something.
I will.
But you know, the 2 of you would have become really good friends. Don't you remember? You met with her once. If my memory serves me right, you were 12 then?
This too, I can't recall. It's probably one of those meetings where we only talked a bit before going our ways. If she did leave an impression, I'm pretty sure I would have written about it somewhere, or at least recognized her name. As it is, the only few people I remember clearly from that time of my life is Ashton and Mandy. To some extent. Mum must have sensed my confusion because she laughed.
Don't push yourself too hard, darling. Really? It felt like having 2 daughters back then. Sometimes I wish they didn't send her away to boarding school. But, well, you know how often that goes with them. Still, try talking to her while you're there.
Oh, we'll see. I'll let you know what happens after.
I'm looking forward to it, darling. Take care of yourself.
Will do. You too, Mum. Bye. Tell Da to be careful next time.
She chuckles then. A hearty one, tender and always light in my ears. She may be a stern teacher, but this is the part of her I love the most. The sound of it still echoes even as our call comes to an abrupt end, bringing with it a memory from so many years ago.